How are you this evening, Jonathan?
The Skal that escaped from the hospital is eluding me. He must be caught.
Skals are a risk to the balance we maintain. It needs to be stopped.
The head of the guard of Priven stopped by to see Dr. Swansea.
You have nothing to fear. The guard would not risk openly challenging the Brotherhood. Even they are not that foolish.
Now that the hunters are aware of my presence, they could discover your whereabouts too.
Don't worry. I've evaded those jackals in the past, and I shall do so in the future. And besides, who would ever suspect the kind Samaritan Lady Ashbury?
I noticed there was no love lost between the Brotherhood and the Guard.
They share the same fascination in our species, but they diverge from any commonality in thought. Talk to Dr. Swansea if you wish to know more.
When we were at the funeral, I had a feeling. I think I met my maker.
You do not have to tell me if you don't wish to.
Should I not?
In most circumstances, a vampire would not discuss his maker. There is a strong bond that exists between a maker and their progeny.
There is almost nothing to say. He appeared in a gush of blood, prattled off some riddles, and vanished without even telling me his name.
Be on guard, Jonathan. Whoever your maker is, he's obviously as powerful as he is elusive.
You certainly hate Skals.
No, not hate. I pity them. Damaged and broken for eternity. Can you imagine, Jonathan? Can you imagine what they must be suffering?
I would not have labeled them all the same. I've met some that are quite clever, in fact. Much like people.
I am sorry. You should know Skal is derived from slave. Vampires have never looked kindly on their lesser progeny.
Do you think they can be trusted?
They are weaker than us in every sense. From their abilities to being able to control their hunger. There is a savagery in them.
Goodbye for now, my lady.
Jonathan, have you got any news about Sean Hampton?
I'm still investigating. In the meantime, I have some questions.
All right, just ask.
Tell me, Edgar, have you ever heard about a vampire made of blood? I mean, without any physical form, but a shape of blood.
What are you talking about? Have you seen such a phenomenon yourself?
No. I was just daydreaming. Since blood seems to be the key of our existence, I imagined what could be the ultimate state of a vampire.
I see. Well, too bad you didn't see such a creature. It could have been a fascinating subject of observation.
What is the antagonism between your Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole and the Guard of Priven?
It is an old and sad story, Jonathan. The story of a betrayal and of a definitive schism.
Who betrayed who?
I suppose each side would tell you the fault lies with the other. This I know for sure. A long time ago, members of the Brotherhood chose to hunt down vampires.
How many are you in the Brotherhood?
You mean today? Not many. A dozen, perhaps even less since the war. We are scholars, Jonathan. We favor quality to quantity.
Tell me, Edgar, how did you meet Lady Ashbury?
I met her 9 years ago. I was working in Scotland at the time in a sanatorium the good lady visited from time to time. She subsequently offered me a position here, at the Pembroke Hospital.
Why offer you this position?
I'd already been experimenting with blood-borne diseases and transfusion methods. Without success, I'm afraid. How could I refuse such a fascinating creature? So, in 1911, I took charge of the Pembroke.
Pembroke Hospital. Why that name?
I'm not quite sure. I think it's meant to refer to the Earl of Pembroke. Perhaps it's someone she used to know?
Tell me, Edgar, have you ever heard about a vampire made of blood?
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reid? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances, and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reid. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reid. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reid. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease, with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reid. You don't know what that means to me.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
I'm all right.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair, while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
The world is bleak, but maybe the pain we feel is the best compass for making it a better place.
How can we repair the world, Dr. Reid, when mankind is the biggest problem? Yes, the world will be a much better place when we're gone.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reid. I'll think about it. Now please, let me be.
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. but I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Do you realize your son could try to kill himself again? He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No. I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
I have a mind to report him to Dr. Ackroyd.
Don't keep anything from her.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
I have managed to improve the mixture by diluting it. Have you ever heard of Sir Joseph Francis Olive, or the placebo effect?
No, I don't think so. Why?
A placebo is a substance or procedure that has no actual physical effect.
You made a placebo of my project. Why?
Research has established that a placebo, as long as the subject believes in the effect, can provoke a positive physiological reaction.
Really? That's fascinating. And you want me to, what, administer the placebo and see what occurs?
Something like that, yes.
Well, I'm a bit surprised, but I trust you, Dr. Reid. Please take the key to my cabinet and put this placebo there for future use.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. It's locked, all right. At least Strickland can't kill anyone with this formula. It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening. What has you so worried?
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible.
He's not out of the woods yet, you know. He might need to stay here longer than expected.
Take care of him then, Dr. Reid. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry my poor Mortimer will be neglected.